Carrie, is that you? I don't know who's on the iPhone.
Sorry, that's me. That's me.
Oh, 80. Is that you?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
awesome. I feel like
All
I
right.
couldn't see. That's okay. Last week Arlene had somebody else's name under it completely and we had no idea who the person was. So I just wanted to make sure it was.
Yes.
I'm so excited for us to jump back into doing this. And I know Carrie's going to jump on in a little bit too, but I was just saying to Cheryl and Georgie, Edie, that I was going back and reflecting a little bit of some of the conversations that we were having in the group this week when it came to our mindset, when it came to nutrition. And I know that this is our meal planning call, but I think a lot of times we get stuck with this part because we focus on, okay, what is going to go in my containers for the day, or what is my shopping list? And we don't spend the first few minutes fixing and preparing our mindset for the week and understanding what you're going for the goal for this week, and I say that because I was reading back between Kristen and Meredith's messages when it came to tracking and what is our goal for the week. And Kristen was feeling stressed that she wasn't seeing any movement on the scale. And Meredith gave such great advice and was like, maybe stop focusing on the number on the scale and look at another form of tracking so that you can hold yourself accountable and or see the progress. And using the example of maybe doing measurements or tracking. Like I just got off the bike and I love the tracking capability of the heart rate monitor on it and I use it for my workouts too, because I love to see, it sounds stupid, but my mom passed away of heart disease. So I like being able to see my heart rate go up and getting to zone 3, being able to drop it back down, being able to drop, like I'm not focused on hour-long runs anymore. My idea and my mindset of tracking when it has come to my exercise has shifted tremendously with the years that have come on, and the shift for me for nutrition is starting to come too. So I want you to take a minute and think about, how have you been tracking your nutrition? Are you tracking your nutrition, and has it been working? I'm going to give you a minute to think about that, Cheryl. I know you don't have anything to write down, but if you do have a pen and paper nearby, write one of your thoughts down about it. What is your mindset for this week? How do you plan on tracking? And have you given this any thought for it? Because we can all sit here and write a meal plan, but if we don't have a goal for how to execute the meal plan, we're going to come back here next Saturday and we're going to do the exact same thing. So I just want you to just take a minute. I'll put the music back on. Think of your mindset for the week. Think about your goal for the week. How are you going to be tracking this? What is it? For me, last week, my goal was to add in more greens, and I've gotten up to 3 greens a day. That may sound silly for some people, but for me, that was my small goal. I was able to execute that, and now I'm going to have it stack and push something on. So I don't want you to say, my goal is I'm going to hit every single container every single day. I'm never going to make a mistake or anything like that. I want you to set a realistic goal. So just take that minute and think about that for a second.
Nobody knows how to say goodbye. Seems so easy to try. Then the moment passed you by. Nobody knows how to say goodbye. Nobody knows how to get back home. He said out so long ago. Search the heaven to the earth below. Nobody knows how to get back home. Through the darkness to the dawn. When I look back,
Did you guys take a minute and write anything down? Does anybody want to share? Georgie, I know we always go to you last, so we're gonna go to you first.
I can go. I was actually typing. I see I brought my computer. I planned, so I knew I can take notes.
Awesome.
So, I want to start like I don't really use my containers, and that's part of my problem is that like I've been very bad about tracking. So I want to make it part of my routine. I've been very good about like the working out, getting up, having my recovery, getting my power greens in my recovery. So this way I know I'm getting at least 1 to 2 greens, because I'll have like a little snack later in the day. But I have to, my thing is to getting my shake. I'm not very good about getting my shake and planning where I want it within my day. And I know I always take it with me and I want to have it. But I can't, like, I'm having a hard time changing my mindset to make it like a lunch, make it like a breakfast. Cause I'm so used to, I enjoy eggs for breakfast. I enjoy like substance for lunch. So I have to make it more of a, I guess, a snack. And I just don't know where to put that. But
Well, that sounds like the way I am when I'm at work, like during the work season, I have my shake between 3 and 4, like that transition. The first thing I got in the habit of doing as soon as I walked in the door was making it. Because once I made it, I drank it.
mhm.
Or maybe on your way to your afternoon games with your kids, before you even get in the car, don't bring the packet and the ice, make it so that it's there for you. And using it as, like you said, changing it from, it's not my meal, it's a snack. It's just a red, it's just one of the red containers. It's not an entire meal for you, and how would you want to track? Do you want to track via paper? Do you want to track via the app? What works? I know you're a computer person.
For me, it has to be the app, because the paper just doesn't work because I don't always remember to take it. So I always have my phone. So I feel like if I do it in the app, I can always track it.
Okay.
So
So that means that you'll be in the group with Carrie and I. So
I
we'll
will-
get you that link and we'll share the link to anybody else that wants to be in the group, in all honesty, because that's where the support really comes in the community, whether it's on Facebook or in the BOD group. But I love the goal of setting it for tracking so that you can start to see where you are, because a lot of times we want to jump right into the meal planning, but you don't even know what you've been doing, and until you start tracking, you're not going to know. So that goal, Cheryl, for this week, for you to start being in the tracker, and we'll see you in the group, so we'll be able to support you, I think is such a great goal.
and I have to be more conscious of, like, I'm not a social media person. I may be a computer person, but I'm definitely like social media. You guys know I'm never on Facebook. I think the last post I posted was probably a kid's birthday back in February. It's just, or maybe one of the vacations, I don't know. But that's another thing. I just have to make sure that I go in and I just kind of check in the groups. Like, that's another goal of mine.
And I think you're totally not alone. I think all of us can say the same, that social media has been like like, let's push this away side. And that's what one of the great things about having the app is too, is you can do either of them. But I know when we first started out, Carrie and I, we used to set reminders in our phone, like a daily reminder where it would just pop up, like maybe set it for 6 o'clock at night, so that if the day goes by and you're in the nighttime and you haven't checked in yet, the reminder will go off for you. And then that's where the intentionality is going to come into play, is that reminder. Here's my habit. I got to go into the group right now. Nothing else matters. This is what I'm doing for myself, because this is part of my self-care. So that's that part of that habit that you need to work on this week, and snap the pictures of it so that we can see it in the group when you're done tracking, so that you're in that habit of that also. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that'll be really good on accountability for me too, to take a picture to show that I did it. Cause yeah, I can say, hey, yeah, I did it. And that's all great. And then,
Right. Right.
So-
And while we go around and hear from everybody else, in the chat, I put the link to this week's meal guide. If you want to snap on it and look just to see if there's anything that sparks your interest, that would be a way for you to start, some of that meal prepping for you. Georgie, how did you feel when you were trying to think for the week of your goal and how things were last week for you?
Last week was just very stressful and busy. So, I mean, it's like that for everybody, right? But I just want to, before I get into that, I just wanted to speak on what Cheryl was sharing. So, with your Shakeology, I get it. Like, cause I don't get it because I kind of figured out how to have the shake for myself, but I get it because I know so many people who I talk to that say, oh, but I really like eggs for breakfast, or I really like to eat something for lunch. So I'm wondering for you, what if you started making it into pudding? And I love doing this and having it as a dessert. And like every day you have it as a sweet treat after dinner or after lunch, something, or even in between. So I just basically take a scoop of Shakeology and then I add I find the unsweetened coconut milk works best. I've used almond milk, but I think coconut milk is much better. Or you can use yogurt too. That's another thing. It'll also add more protein. I've done that recently. And you just mix the Shakeology until it gets to the right consistency. Like you just add a very little bit at a time. I don't know if you've ever made it before, but you do like a quarter cup, if that, of the nut-based milk, and you put it in and you mix it, and then you add a little bit more, like a couple tablespoons at a time, and just keep mixing and mixing until it gets to the right consistency. And I put peanut butter in there. I also get that cocoa whip. It's amazing. I get it from Stop and Shop. It's in the freezer section. It's like Cool Whip, except it's made with coconut milk. It's made by a company, So Delicious. So Delicious is the brand. I put that on top. It's like having dessert. So I wonder if you make it like that, might be something that you can do habitually, like every day. That's your sweet treat. Like that's your dessert. I don't know if that would work, but
Georgie, I love that idea, and I have to share that with Kristen. I have to find that if one of us can find the recipe and maybe put it in the Team Crush page or thread today. She has had such a hard time, and a lot of people, are not always into drinking a shake,
Right.
and don't realize. Like
Yeah.
I loved
eat it.
the peanut butter Reese's Pieces cups they weren't Reese's
Yeah.
Pieces, but they're, the Shakeology peanut butter cups. I loved those, and when I went through that time period, I would have those, and it felt
Yeah.
like a treat. But here
Yes.
I am getting that healthy version, so I love that option.
Yeah. So I mean, that just might be some way that you can have it every day, and it feels like you're eating it, not drinking it. And then there was another thing that you said. Oh, well, you kind of mentioned it after you said this, but the whole social media thing, I'm with you 100% on that. So that's why the bod group is great. Really, if you're not in there already, get in there. I'm in a separate one from these girls, but whatever one it is, it doesn't matter. It's nice because it's off social media. And like when you go to check in, it's not as daunting as it sounds. Like you're literally in and out in 5 minutes because there's no other distraction. Like there's nothing else in there to do but check in. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh wait, I gotta check my notifications, and oh, let's see who posted this, and some stupid ad comes up. There's none of that. It's just go in, check in, and get out.
And if you're in the app tracking already, you just go to the tab right next to it.
Yeah, exactly. It makes it so easy. Everything is right there. It's like one-stop shop, So anyway, that was that. For me now, I think last week was very stressful. I got a new car, girls, which is very exciting. Not new, but new to me. Definitely an upgrade. It's been very stressful over here with cars. Mike bought a lemon. We poured thousands of dollars into that effing thing, and it's just it's very upsetting. But what's done is done. We can't do anything about it now. So even though gas wise isn't the best move, we have really no choice. We got rid of his truck. He had a truck that was just sitting in the driveway. It wasn't running. It was like one of those things like, oh, well, we'll get it to run. It just wasn't happening. Just get the F out of the driveway. So that's gone. He had this little Subaru that was a money pit. That's gone. He's taking my minivan, which, believe it or not, is an upgrade for him. And then I got a 2019 Hyundai Santa Fe, and it's got like a third row. Anyway, so for food wise, I haven't been eating enough this week because I've just been so stressed. I had my shake every day. That's never an issue. But like I'll be like, oh my God, all I had was my shake today. And then I'm having dinner. So this past week, I would say it's just so stressful that I didn't eat enough. And I love what you said earlier, Christine. I definitely didn't eat enough greens. So I kind of like what Cheryl said too. Like, I'm thinking maybe I should get power greens because I've been finding it hard to get my greens in, and like maybe, it's not good. I need to eat more vegetables. So going forward, I might get some power greens. We do have some things planned for next week, so I think it's going to be better. We're going to have more time to food prep this weekend. What was it? Is that the questions? Did I cover that? Everything?
And what your mindset goal, it sounds like you're looking for more greens, making sure you're tracking, making sure you're eating enough. I can totally
Yeah.
relate to that. Brian and I said
Yeah.
the other day, we felt like we spent the whole summer eating one meal, like
Yeah.
between all the kids' sports and stuff. I'd have my shake in the
Yeah.
morning, I'd work out. And then all of a sudden it would be like 7 o'clock and I'm like, what are we doing for dinner? So, and that makes a huge impact to us when we don't eat enough. People think, oh, I'm not going to eat, I'm going to lose weight. Well, where's your goal? And that's where it goes back to, what is your goal? I know for each one of us here on this call, it's not necessarily to lose weight. And that's why when we get stuck on the scale, we're not really focusing on the why. It's our goal is to feel healthy. Our goal is to have energy. Our goal is during those stressful times, Georgie, to be able to let go of lemons and shit that's going on like that and be able to say, okay, let me just move on. That's our goal. And we do that by fueling our body and by exercising. I loved it this morning in the workout. She said, where do we get mental strength from? By pushing through when we have nothing left in the tank on the freaking bike. And I'm like, you're right. I know I can do this and I know I'm not going to die. I'm tracking my heart rate. I know it's not over 150, so I'm okay. And I can move on afterwards.
Yeah. Yep.
So I love that, Georgie. That's a good goal. And it sounds like we're all kind of in a similar place of let's regroup, let's hold accountable, let's, lift up our veggie intake. For me, and I want to go to Edie and Cheryl too. I said my goal is to continue to focus on my veggies and a higher level of yellows. For me, I've been having the sports teams over. We've been doing lots of pizza parties and stuff like that. And I'm great all day. And I'll have a slice of pizza where like I have so many bags of the quinoa and brown rice, and to make my healthy wrap versus what the regular rice that comes in the protein burgers or something like that. And I said more plant-based proteins. I've had a very hard time texture wise with proteins, so I've gone to this week a lot more with the black beans again, going to like the 4-week gut protocol, like that type of stuff. So those are where my goals, and I had 5 workouts, outdoor activity, and a beach day at least once this week, because one of my big goals is the self-care outside of nutrition and physical exercise. And the beach is like my happy place.
Yes.
Carrie, Edie, do either of you want to share?
I don't know. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, you guys keep freezing on me, so I don't know if I'm going to freeze on you. But similar to Cheryl, I really need to pull out my containers. I've definitely been this summer on the struggle.
See if you take your video off, Carrie, and see if we can hear you better. You did just start getting choppy.
On some weight pretty rapid from Totally Poor Habits. Am I frozen? I don't know. I can't hear you guys anymore.
Try turning off your Wi-Fi. It
I hear
may.
you. My Wi-Fi is off, but hold on.
We can hear you. You just sometimes go in and out. Yeah, try going that way.
I actually put my Wi-Fi on because it wasn't on, so maybe it'll help. I don't know. Can you hear me? Okay. So, I just, I'm going to the naturopath to try to look into that. I'm just worried, like with my autoimmune stuff, that maybe things aren't quite right. But at the same time, I really want to be tracking and doing better with meal planning so that at least I know I'm controlling my part of it. And then hopefully with lab work and maybe switching up my supplements, I can figure out the rest of it. So that's truly a goal. With the shake part that Cheryl was talking about, I always have my shake as my reward after I work out. So with Lift More, I've been mixing my Recover into my shake. So I don't do two separate shakes, I mix them together. I just do, instead of 10 ounces of water in my shake, I do 12 ounces and add the Recover in. And then it's thicker, but it's like really delicious. And if you're a chocolate freak like me, it's perfect.
I was just gonna say, that sounds so chocolatey, like,
It's
because
so
the
good.
Recover
It's
is such a
so
different
good.
chocolate too.
You got to put peanut butter in it. And I've been either doing frozen banana or today, like I had dark cherries, frozen dark cherries. So been switching it up. I love the avocado. It's amazing if you put the avocado in. But like I said, I had to switch things up because things have been out of sync. So I've been just trying a couple different things. But I like my shake as my first thing. But I'm also a breakfast person, Cheryl. So during the school year, I have an early lunch these last couple of years. So I haven't been doing the shake and then a breakfast. But when I had like a 12 o'clock lunch, I would have my shake before school. And then I would give my students like morning snack. And I would have like hard boiled eggs or something like that while they were having their snack. So I essentially would have two breakfasts. And that worked for me. And then I still had lunch, but it was like a little bit of a smaller lunch, just not humongous portion sizes, I guess. But yeah, I need some ideas for the meal planning. Christine, I don't know if you've ever tried the baked butternut squash macaroni and cheese. It's a Confessions of a Fit Foodie recipe. It's a staple in my household. Me, Anthony, and Charlotte love it. But what's nice is you get the butternut squash in there. I make it with the brown rice pasta from Trader Joe's. So it's gluten-free. And, it's like a relatively healthy comfort food and you get a green in it. So it's nice.
I'm gonna have to try that if you can share the recipe with me. I've tried the butternut squash, and me when it comes to cooking, that was one that when I tried it twice. It didn't come out well for me, so I'll need some assistance. But
you don't even taste it. Do you have an Instapot?
No.
Okay, so I use the Instapot for it. Sometimes she has like two versions of the recipe. Like she might have a non-Instapot version, but you need an Instapot to do it. And it cooks up pretty quick and it's really delicious.
Okay.
But you might need to go get an Instapot.
Okay. I will. And I think of, I think of you, Edie, a lot too, when we come back to trying to do this, like going to the quick soups or like, we talked about like, I need the stuffed peppers, like the crock pot stuff. Some of those things, it makes it easier because I can put the veggies and everything in and I'm done for the day, versus it. And I just want to go back to, I love how you were saying, Carrie, like you'll have a second breakfast. I think a lot of times we get stuck on what the traditional meal should look like. Brian is always like, I need a meat and a potato. I need to, like, my meal isn't, dinner's not here. And, Cheryl, thinking of, your eggs is maybe not like, it's not lunch. It's just another meal for you. You're like having two breakfasts. I love the idea of having second breakfast. Like that's such a fun way to call it, instead of lunch, second breakfast. Those little tweaks to the way that we look at things really start to open up the door for us for different avenues. Once I think crock pot and Instapot and soups, my ideas for my nutrition and my meals open up instantly. But when I think of having to open the oven and cook and touch chicken or any of that stuff, I'm like, I don't want to do anything. I'll just stick to like my yogurt. So again, it's changing our mindset and our wording as to the way that we're looking at these different parts of it. But I love those ideas, Carrie. Edie, what about you? Are you on the tracking train with us too?
I circled everything that everyone spoke about and I was like, you guys all like nailed it. Cheryl, you nailed it. That's exactly what, and if we're all feeling exactly the same, I'm sure the group is feeling the same. I've been lousy with tracking, like Cheryl says, I haven't been on social media much. My shake, I feel exactly like Cheryl. I'm like, well, I can't have that now because I'm about to eat lunch. And I'm like, and I can't have it now because I'm about to have dinner. And I'm like, and I've missed it again. I mean, I'm giving my $120 shakes to the person next to me, like in truckloads, because I just keep forgetting to take my shake. And so I just circled, I got to buy the Power Greens because something's got to give. I love the idea of Carrie's, which is recover and the shake together, because I always think, well, I've just run, I can't have my recover and then my shake, it's too many calories. I'm like, I'm all over the place. So yeah, last week was a bit I think my water was good last week. That was about it. I ran twice, so I made a deal that I'm going to run 3 times this week. So I ran 3 times last week, but twice in the mornings where I, tried to get it. But I was like, no, I used to run every day. So just trying to build up the exercise because I fell off that wagon too. Putting on weight, that's a little scary for me. But just getting back to it, my list now has my salads. I like my salads in the bags. It's just I don't have time at work to bust it all out and cut the veggies up. So I'm going to try and cut the veggies up in the bags now with all the containers on a Sunday morning, and then just tip that into something and add the dressings that whatever her name is, Autumn makes. But yeah, I summed up exactly what you guys did. I'm going to start tracking. Yeah, pretty much the mindset's not bad. The mindset's fine. I listen to Mel when I can. Yeah.
She's one, I know we stay off of, you're staying off of social media a little bit more, but she's one that whenever I open up my Instagram account, she pops up instantly. And I just love her quick little, like the other day, her hair was all in her face and she's like, high five. I bet you nobody gave you one today. Like just a quick little, like, here's your burst of inspiration type thing, so I loved that. And I just wanted to say also, I know when I go back into like, making sure I'm really focusing on these things. I go back and forth between tracking and not tracking when, I'm focusing on different goals. I track something, but if it's not my nutrition and I'm tracking something else, but when I go back to tracking my nutrition and ensuring my veggies and stuff like that, something I gave myself the grace with, and this might sound stupid, but buying pre-cut veggies, at the store, spending that little bit of extra money, is something that made me then eat the vegetables versus, oh, I'm going to get them home, I'm going to wash them all, I'm going to cut them up and blah, 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 blah. And then it just sits there and it rots. So I love the fact that you mentioned the bag salad. My daughter doesn't like anything else besides that right now. And for her, I'm like, I'm going to get it because that's what you're eating and you're getting a vegetable in. When it comes to our exercise, I think we're all very similar. And I said this when we started is, we don't do it necessarily for the weight loss. So 80, I want you to think of this when it comes to when you said you had 2 days of exercise. That's awesome because you've had a very stressful week, but also know that the exercise isn't for your weight loss. The exercise is for your stress reduction, because we carry so much stress around all day long that time is usually the only time during the day that we don't have other, mommy, or kids or students or, our coworkers yapping at us. So looking at exercise is not and I wrote this in one of our groups yesterday. It's not a have to, it's I get to. And I get to do all of these things because I want to feel healthy. I get to do all of these things because we're seeing it in our children. We talked about this, Cheryl and I, the other day. Cheryl's son stopped her and was like, Mom, come on a run with me when we were working out the other day. Kaylee is in love with doing the bar program and her own combination of Megan Davies. Brian found some other trainer on there that I've never even heard of before, and he's in love with doing it. But it's finding your own niche, not necessarily, we're all not going to have the exact same meal plan. We're all not going to be the exact same every single day. That's okay. But what we're going to do is we're going to keep supporting one another. And I'm going to challenge each and every one of us, and for whoever else watches this, to start tracking this week, because you have to have a baseline. When we jump in and go, I'm just going to go right to, Z, we don't know where A was. So we have to start with tracking this week to see how good we are doing. A lot of times we think we're doing much worse than we truly are. 80, if you didn't track that you ran 2 days this week, you might have come in and gone, I didn't do anything this week, exercise wise, but you did. And finding that bright spot and going, I got 2 workouts in a crazy week. I got my greens up to 3 greens out of 0 from the month of July every day this week. That's huge. We're not perfect, but it's the progress. And when we put the perfection on us, we don't move at all. So we want to focus on the progress and that small step. This week's goal, from what I hear from everybody, is tracking, showing up in the group, and getting our greens and our reds. And for me, my goal is a little bit more of the yellows in. Write the goal down, put it somewhere so you see it. Mark the daily. Cheryl, you should have already in your phone, put a daily reminder in. That's right, go get it. Perfect. Because that's the only way that you're going to hold yourself accountable. We can say it until we're blue in the face. I say this to my students all the time. Until you decide that you're willing and able and capable of making the change isn't going to happen. So we did post in the drive the link for the meal guide. There's access also. If you have the other meal plans, we can send them to you too. But I want you to spend a few minutes. We only have a few more minutes left on this call. Spend a few minutes right now, since we're in the zone of it, and start to write out your meal plan. What are your reds? What are your greens? What are your yellows? Are you more of a full meal person, or are you just a check the containers off? Are you following To Be mindset? Are you following the portion fix? Are you like, I don't know what to follow right now? You know, then reach back out to us in the group so that we know how we can assist you. But we do have a few minutes left. If you want to, Carrie, I know it's probably hard for you, but you can maybe start thinking or looking at some of the different recipes, writing down some of the things for your shopping list this weekend. And I can put some music back on too for us for the minute. And if you guys are looking for inspiration not off of the meal, I always love going back to the 21-day fixed container list, because it's so simple for me. And I think we forget, because so much of this has become so technological. Like, print it out if you need to put it in front of you. Like I have it on my fridge so that I know what I'm checking off.